Hannah from Enemy, and I'm here at Reading Festival with Fall Out Boy. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Welcome back to Reading Festival.
Thanks.
Does it feel a bit like a homecoming? You played first time over 10 years ago and co-headlined before, now headlining.
I mean, it's crazy. It's pretty wild to say headline, you know? It feels like, yeah, I mean, it's really cool to be here, but at the same time, it does not feel like, hey, we're back. It feels like, oh my God, we're here. This is crazy.
Has it felt like kind of a key part of your career, just playing the first album and then going through?
I think for sure, because when we first came, we didn't really understand festival culture, and we just didn't. It's just so different if you haven't grown up with it, you know? And so, like, I think that in those 10 years, we're like, oh, okay, we get it. Okay, like, this is what it's like. This is, you know, and so, yeah, it feels like it's been something that we've built to rather than just, like, jumping up to it.
Of course, and I guess in the past sort of decade when you've been playing here, you've seen the way the Reading lineup has diversified. Now you're playing after Travis Scott. Do you think this is just the way the festival should be going?
Well, I personally think that the festival should imitate or like be an extension of how people listen to music. So currently I think people, like when I look at like my 9-year-old, he just listens to songs. So he'll listen to Travis Scott, and then he'll listen to Queen, and then he'll listen to like Lil Uzi, and then listen to, you know, Panic at the Disco or something. And so I think people like curate their like that genre matters less to people. At the same time, I know that it's easy that when you've like have something that's that you've loved forever, that when it changes, it's hard. So I understand why it's hard for people, but I think it should. I mean, genre just doesn't matter as much to people who listen to music, I don't think, which is cool.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, do you think, I guess because it's the end of Warped Tour as well, Reading's become much more sort of hip-hop and pop in the lineup, do you think there still is a place for a big rock festival, or just imitating what the kids like now?
No, I mean, I think that there's always room. Like, the greatest thing about, we don't live in like a monoculture anymore where there's just one thing. Like, I think that the great thing is if you're not watching Fall Out Boy, there's this like, you know, other stages you can go and check out. Or if you're, you know, like I was like, oh man, this is rad. I've never seen Post Malone live. That was really cool. I think there's room for all of it. I think that rock music needs to keep pushing the ball forward and advancing if it still wants to have a place on it within pop culture, but I think just in general there's room for like all kinds of different music. I saw bands playing at different stages that I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Sure. And so I guess we also need to ask about Lake Effect Kid, which dropped earlier this week. Very exciting. Why did you decide now was the right time to drop it after the title track's been around for quite a long time?
Yeah, so we'd always talked about, so we wrote this song 10 years ago around when we did Foley I Do, and we never really figured the song out, so we just put like a piece of it out. And then when we were doing the new record, Patrick had written this song which became Super Fade, which is kind of like a B-side to Young and Menace, and so it felt like, we have these songs that are like Chicago songs that we haven't really got a place for, but what if we put them all together?
Yeah.
And so we went and we tried to finish Lake Effect Kid. It was great because we got to do it with Sean, who we'd done Take This to Your Grave with, and I think he really honed the sound. But it was cool to like kind of have like a past, present, and future piece in the EP. I don't know why now is the right time. Who knows?
And you kind of mentioned Chicago there. You've called it a love letter to Chicago. How has that city impacted your music?
Well, I think that the cool thing about Chicago is there's a diversity to the music, but also like when we were coming up in the scene, like it's different than other big cities, or it seemed different than other big cities in the way that like there's a lot of people in the counterculture, but there's not enough in each individual counterculture group. So like shows would be like ska bands and punk bands and hardcore bands, and like so like there's like this diversity there that I didn't experience when I was in other cities in the US, which is cool. And I think obviously it's not like a major coastal city, so there weren't like A&R guys at our first shows or anything, you know, so we were able to like kind of figure ourselves out, I think.
Of course. And we mentioned Folly Ado there. I was going to ask, because obviously on that record, it's kind of the peak of that sort of genre, and you had, on What a Catch Donny, you had members of the Cab, Cobra Starship, Academy Ears, sadly bands who are on hiatus, broken up. What do you think has been the key to longevity for you guys, the band who sort of survived it and thrived?
I mean, I think with Fall Out Boy, we have a couple things. Like, one, we're all friends with each other, and like, you know, having that base foundation, I think, is really, really important. As cheesy as it is to say that, but beyond that, I think that when we put out the record, so we put out From Under the Cork Tree, which is our like debut to the world at large, you know, or whatever. And I think on the next record we decided to change our sound, and then changed. And I think that at the time it was a little bit uncomfortable, but it allowed us to keep changing. And I think honestly, going away for 3 or 4 years and coming back and the sonic landscape being completely different, we were just like, we just have to have a completely different thing. So I think we were there was serendipity was involved. You know, we were lucky.
And you mentioned that you kind of experimented with all these genres, and that's how it's gone forward. What is one genre you've not kind of looked at before you'd love to? Anything in the world?
I would love to do something dance hall-y. Like, I don't want to ever be the band that like jumps the shark. Like, you've never heard us do like a rap verse or something like that. But I would love to, like, I grew up going to Jamaica all the time because of my family. I think it would be cool to do something and see how that infected the sound.
Mm-hmm. Great. And you've got huge homecoming shows in September. What can you tell me about the Mania Experience, which I know is all a bit secretive at the moment?
So we worked for like a year on this thing, and it's basically the idea behind the Mania Experience. We obviously haven't done it, but the idea behind it is you'll be able to walk into a physical version of the album, you know? Because I think we live in like this like totally like digital time, you know, whatever, where it's like clicks and all these things that aren't really tangible. And it felt like it would be cool to do something that was tangible. That was the like opposite of that. And so that's what we've tried with the Mania Experience. I'll be honest, we tried to build it once in LA and it kind of like halted in the process. So hopefully we get it done, especially now that we've talked about it.
Excellent. And finally, you are creating your own music festival. Pick me your 3 headliners.
3 headliners for a music festival.
Metallica
for sure.
Oh wait,
playing a set list curated by myself and Andy Hurley.
yeah. You picked the second.
I would say one that we would agree on would be Migos. I would have Migos play. Mm-hmm. Finish it
I
out.
was gonna say Oasis, but I would want Wu-Tang on there too.
Okay, let's
Get
do
them to reform
let's do
for you.
Wu-Tang. And let's do Oasis, and we're going to do Migos will be the opener for us all 3 nights.
Excellent. Yeah. Big Migos fans then.
Definitely.
Favorite song?
I'm still like a Versace type of guy, but...
what's that song? Like T-shirt?
I don't know the names of any songs.
The name of the song, T-shirt.
Yeah, T-shirt. They were also... we did... a hip-hop remix album, and I think like just before they were like really big in the hip-hop community, but they weren't like super well known yet, and they're actually on like a Fall Out Boy, American Beauty, American Psycho remix album.
Oh my God,
so
amazing.
Check that out. Yeah, it's pretty, their verse is really cool on it.
Would you ever do stuff with them in the future?
Yeah. Besides the festival, you mean?
Yeah, aside from the festival, which is going to happen, so...
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, and look forward to watching the show later.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.